Hello everybody, it's your friend Kevin and this is your vibe of the day. Hey, I'm happy to be here. I hope you're happy to be here. Let's get on with the cards. I've got a special reading for you today. Here we go. So, what happened this morning? I was doing a lovely deep spiritual practice meditation, which I urge all of you to do and get into. And of course, no surprise that I first shuffling around with this great Keepers of the Light deck by here we go, Kyle Gray, and images by Lily Moses. And the Keepers of the Light are really from all forms of religious backgrounds and practices, many of them, as you can see right here. There's all three. We have Hope, who's part of the Angelic Trinity Faith, Hope, Charity. And then we have Mahavatar Babaji, who's really succinct with Hinduism. Yogis talk about Babaji a lot. He's considered in many Eastern or Hindu religions as being something like Jesus. And then we have the ancestral, spiritual, almost a Native American Mr. White Eagle, which is an ancestral spirit. So we're represented here today by all three of these lovely ascended masters, if you will. So why did I place them like this? Well, the three cards represents the strength. It represents where we are right now in the middle and what we're working on. So what we know, strength, heart, and challenge is what we call this, or past, present, future. You can look at it any which way. It's a trilogy of a reading. So I like to read them individually and then place them in their context of where they belong and what this message is for all of us. As I've said many times, most definitely these readings, when I pull these cards, are personal to me, but then I share them on here in this way and find many of those who reach out to me say, my gosh, you're speaking to me. That felt so personal. So I do more of it. Let's start with hope. This is about love and acceptance. And the message is, love is yours to recognize. Recognize the gifts of your divine worth and choose loving thoughts. Even when we are placed in situations where we are not necessarily so loving, where we want to, push the middle finger up at the person that cut us off in traffic, or get really huffy when the person pushes in front of us at the grocery store, or otherwise when we are reactive to the bad behavior of other people, which is in my case where it shows up. It is a challenge to pay the things we've learned about right and wrong. You're wrong, I'm right. You're wrong, I'm right. Right, me, I want. Let me see. It is a challenge to let go of that. It's a challenge to just cut those ties off and say, you know what? If you want to get in there quicker than me, you go right on ahead. I'm perfectly fine where I am. And the way to look at it is not to condemn other people, not to look at them as being whatever you want to say in your head, but rather, oh, well, okay, bye-bye, and off you go. We've not been taught to do that. We've not been told to do that. We've not watched people do it. But hope comes to say, love and accept yourself even when you are feeling flawed. The minute that you realize, oops, that was not the greatest way to be. That was not the kindest thing to say. That was not the most charitable, charity being the other part of the trilogy, way to behave. Now, she has a twin flame, a twin soul, if you will, a masculine type of archetype, which would be the Archangel Gabriel. However, as we know, in some contexts, in some teachings, Archangel Gabriel was presented as Gabriel, and many draw or illuminate or illustrate Archangel Gabriel as female. Well, we know that angels don't have genders. They don't procreate, so why would they need them? But in order to be accepted through archetypal traditions, texts, if you will, particularly the canonized religions, Christianity, Catholicism, the patriarchal system, the top down um, energies that are being challenged. Gabriel had to be moved into Gabriel. So the creator said, well, you know what? We'll give them a masculine um, appearance. Let's move on to Mahavatar Babaji. There's a wonderful book out there called Biography of a Yogi that was written by Yogananda, Paramahita Yogananda. It's rather thick, it's rather chewy, it's a lot to absorb and to gather. I myself refer to this as more of a winter book that is something we can get into curling up with a blanket and sort through it. It's a beautiful, wonderful story about the opening up of the divine within the author. Paramahita Yogananda came to the western part of the world to teach the blessings and the messages that the divine lives within us. And during his journey here, he was embraced initially and then revered and then exiled and later came back to do more at the right time and then retreated to his India or roots in India and fearlessly wrote this autobiography of a yogi. What's the message? Your soul is expanding. Your consciousness is expanding. You right now are working on understanding the connection that you have in relation to all things. The relationship you have to materialism, the relationship you have to loved ones, the relationship you have to ancestors, the relationships you have to life, the relationships you have with your body, the relationships you have with your children, the relationships you have with things, possessions, job, career. Your soul, the soul path connection is expanding so that you are able to see and fully embrace and look at what your connection is to it. And that connection, and I've got goosebumps, my hair's all standing on end. That connection that you are right now in the process of discovering is actually what yoga is. It's the union, it's the understanding, the daily spiritual practice that brings you these wisdom, these messages, this expansion of your soul. You can call it awakening, you can call it the woke, you can call it whatever you want. It is this cavalcalistic crescendo of waking up to something bigger, that you can do this, that you're able to do this. Moving on to White Eagle. White Eagle was, if you will, channeled, brought forward, introduced by a spiritualist by the name of Grace in the 20th century. Similarly to the way that I move out the way and allow the energies of the alchemist to come and speak. It isn't that they are separate beings. It isn't that they exist outside of us. It is that these entities and these energies come through us, which is really difficult for the physical folks to understand, because unless we can see it, touch it, feel it, talk to it, see it in the corner with our eyes, we don't believe it exists. And that's okay, because part of the belief is the understanding and the knowing rather than the seeing and the touching. Part of the belief is the non-physical. So White Eagle is connected to ancestral lineage. And it so shows up here in the position of what we are all working on, what we are finding challenges with, what we are looking to move through past, and most incredibly heal. Healing is a big ass word here. Big ass. I'm sorry, I swore. It- White Eagle's message is to connect with your lineage, your families, particularly wounds or patterns that right now need to be healed. So if I'm looking at this as one story for today's message, the three come to say you are surrounded by and you have love within you to access. And it's time that you recognized that your worth comes from your loving, kind, giving thoughts and actions. Do it without question. We're in Thanksgiving. Just do it. You have it to you to do it. Hope is you spread the hope. It starts with you and then it expands on out. People are attracted to it. What you're working on is using those hopeful energies to expand and wake up and to remember this is what your soul purpose is. This is your soul path connection, your connection to all the things that you are related to, how you got the blessings, how you got the presence, how you have the presence of mind, how you have this epiphany when you wake up. But it involves doing a daily spiritual practice. And finally, White Eagle, which is what we're working on. We are working on trying to heal the energies of past programming, not to blame, not to point fingers, not to say, when Uncle Sid went off with the friend of Aunt Nancy, blah, 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 not to get into those stories, but to heal them. It's also really a bigger question here, or at least a bigger message here is those of you that have lost loved ones, whether it's through this pandemic or through whatever modality took them off the earth and put them back into non-physical form, those ancestors, cousins, children, uncles, aunts, those you knew, those you didn't know, that are connected to you in the lineage, who have passed into spirit, their message is they're fine, they're okay, they are with those that they were with before those people passed, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, all of that. And they're connecting with you to heal wounds and patterns, to let you know whatever it was that didn't get said that should have got said is been healed and forgiven. Everything, when we pass through the veil of life into afterlife, all is forgiven. Everything is forgiven. So if you have this awkward feeling that somehow you didn't get to say, do, or be whatever it was that you should have said or done when they were in life, let that go, because they are still with you in non-physical form. So I wrote something yesterday that I got from our call on Sunday, and it was difficult for me to, my coaching call, it was difficult for me to remember what exactly it was, but it was so profound I had to go back to the transcripts and listen to it again, and it is quite something. We're being called upon to show up in a way that we've never shown up before, with our faith, with our hope, with our feelings. We are, I would say at this time, if you are a spiritual worker, if you're drawn to light, if you're drawn to lifting and expanding, there's a lot of pushing, shoving and carrying on going on. I know for myself, it is quite dramatic for me to not be paying attention to the news, for me to not be engaging in what at one point I would have found interesting gossip, to stop all that. This is what I discovered. My daily practice, my daily spiritual practice, is an opportunity for me to commit to myself in a way that nobody else has ever been able to. Your daily spiritual practice is an opportunity for you to commit to yourself in a way that no one else has ever been able to. In other words, you show up for yourself in a way that you've never shown up for yourself before. You show up for all the beauty and the gifts and the love that you have. Show up for all of the family members that couldn't do it, didn't do it, and were stuck by whatever lineage they got put in. And that's why these three cards and this message has come to do that. I think let's go quickly to reading what Melody Beatty's book says and see if it all lines up, and then move on. Discover the power of your heart. Much of the journey has held lessons about power. Many of us have experimented with different kinds of power. At times, we may have used force, brute strength. Certainly, most of us experimented with power plays, only to find that they aren't really the answer. Along the way, some of us may have gotten hard, cold, rigid, even angry, thinking that that was a way to own our power. Often, these attempts don't signal power, they signal fear. True, for many of us, learning to experience, express, and release our anger has been an important milestone in our path to power. But the power we're seeking is different from force, coldness, harshness, or power plays. We aren't learning to flex our muscles in that way. Open to a new kind of power, the power of the heart. Clarity, compassion, gentleness, love, understanding, comfort, forgiveness, faith, scrutiny, and acceptance of ourselves. Be a part to opening our heart. In other words, show up. That's the power we're seeking. That's true power. Power that lasts, power that creates the life that we love, and power that creates the life and love that we want. In those situations, that call for power we can really trust that brute strength, coldness. Relax. Stop flexing your muscles. Instead, open your heart. Let power come gently. Let a new strength flow through you. Defend yourself when necessary, but avoid any actions that take you away from peace and joy. Whatever your situation, relax your body, relax your mind, and trust your soul. Your heart will lead the way, not just to love, but also to power. Let it come gently. Let it come freely. Then the power you receive will be true. Let it come gently, let it come freely, then the power you receive will be true. You know, nothing happens, or nothing good happens, when we push, force, slap, shove, or do anything that is counterintuitive to that expanding, that loveness that's coming. All right, my friends, until next time, lots of love. Bye.